You've decided you're going to start investing. Maybe you've already opened the account. Maybe you're about to. And somewhere in the process of getting ready, reading the articles, watching the videos, downloading the apps, you've had this feeling that there's something everyone keeps not quite saying. Like all the beginner content is accurate, but somehow incomplete. Like you're getting the syllabus, but not the class. Like you know what fund to buy, but you don't actually know what it's going to feel like when you've bought it. That feeling is accurate, and it's worth addressing specifically before you put a single dollar in. Because here's the thing about beginner investing content. Most of it tells you what to do, but almost none of it tells you what the experience of doing it actually feels like. And the gap between what you expect investing to feel like and what it actually feels like in the first 6 months, the first market correction, the first year of genuinely slow returns, that gap is where most new investors fail. Not because they picked bad investments, because their experience didn't match their mental model, and when the experience felt wrong, they made decisions that cost them. So before you put in $1, I want to tell you 5 things that most beginner content skips. Not because they're secret, because they're uncomfortable, they're counterintuitive, and some of them make investing sound scarier in the short run than the just start message allows for. But understanding them makes you dramatically more likely to actually benefit from the years of compounding that follow. My name is Max, and I want to help you learn how to make your money work more for you in your life. This channel is about the real experience of investing, not just the mechanics. Subscribe if you want that. Let's go through what nobody tells you. The conventional beginner investing message says, it's simpler than you think. Open an account, buy index funds, let it run. The complexity is overstated, the barriers are lower than they seem, and the most important thing is just to start. This message is well-intentioned and largely correct. The barriers are lower than they seem, and the most important thing is to start. But the message also implies, without saying it, that once you've started, the hard part is over. That the passive index fund approach is passive in the sense that it requires almost no emotional engagement after setup. That the just let it run part is as easy as it sounds. Here's the overlooked truth. The mechanics of passive index fund investing are genuinely simple. Open account, buy index fund, automate contributions, don't touch it. 4 steps. Anyone can do them. The hard part, the part that determines whether you actually benefit from 20 years of compounding or whether you sell during a correction and miss the recovery, is entirely behavioral, not intellectual, emotional. And the behavioral dimension of investing is almost entirely missing from beginner content because it's difficult to present enthusiastically, and it runs against the "it's simpler than you think" message. Here's the analogy. Learning to drive a car involves 2 separate skill sets. The mechanical, how to operate the controls, what the pedals do, how to steer, what the mirrors show you, and the experiential, what it feels like when the car goes faster than expected, how to keep calm when traffic is heavy, what to do when something startles you at speed. Most driving instruction covers the mechanical adequately and the experiential barely at all. And the accidents that happen to new drivers are almost never mechanical failures. They're experiential failures. The driver knew what the brake was, but didn't have the mental model for how their nervous system would respond to a near miss. Investing is the same. Most beginner content covers the mechanical and almost skips the experiential. Here's the experiential, but here's where it gets really interesting, because the specific psychological mechanism that makes beginner investors fail, even when they've understood the mechanical part, has been studied specifically, and the findings explain why the behavioral gap exists. Research by Daniel Kahneman on what he calls the peak end rule, the documented finding that humans evaluate experiences based on their emotional peak and their ending, rather than on the average, explains why brief, intense periods of market volatility have a disproportionate influence on investment behavior compared to extended periods of steady growth. A single painful month where the portfolio drops 15% is remembered and weighted more heavily than the preceding 12 months of 10% growth, even though the 12 months produced far more actual wealth. The peak-end rule means that investing naturally produces evaluation experiences that understate the value of the process. The drops feel dramatic and the growth feels invisible. In behavior informed by this distorted evaluation, consistently produces the wrong decisions. Selling when the drops make everything feel wrong, and staying when the growth has made everything feel comfortably irreversible. Here are the 5 things nobody tells beginners. The first, your first big market drop will feel like you did something wrong. This is the most practically important thing on the list, and the one most thoroughly omitted from beginner content. The first time you check your portfolio and see that it's down 12%, 18%, 25%, the first time the number is significantly smaller than it was when you last checked, your immediate emotional interpretation is that something went wrong, that you bought the wrong thing, that you timed it badly, that the investment isn't working, because you expect investing to feel like a smooth upward line, and instead it feels like you've lost money that you worked hard to save. Here's what actually happened. The market had a normal correction, not a catastrophe, normal. The S&P 500 has experienced a 10% or greater correction approximately every 1.7 years on average since 1950. 20% or greater corrections occur approximately every 3.5 years. Your first significant drop isn't bad luck or poor timing. It's the baseline experience of equity investing, and it doesn't indicate that anything went wrong. It indicates that you're experiencing the normal price of the returns you're seeking. The specific price: equities return approximately 7% to 10% annually over long periods. The cost of those returns is regular periods of decline that feel threatening and that produce strong behavioral pressure to sell. You can't have the 7% to 10% without the corrections. The corrections are the mechanism, the moments when markets reprice toward fair value, that make the long-term returns possible. Accepting the corrections as normal in advance, before they happen, is the single most important mental preparation for becoming a successful, long-term investor. The second, the behavioral gap matters more than the knowledge gap. Here's a number that most beginner investing content never mentions. The average equity mutual fund investor in the United States, over the past 20 years, has earned approximately 4.2% per year. The average equity mutual fund, over the same period, has earned approximately 7.3% per year. Same funds, different investors. The 3.1% gap, called the behavior gap by financial writer Carl Richards, is entirely explained by when investors buy and sell within the fund. They buy after good performance, higher prices, lower future returns, and sell after bad performance, lower prices, higher future returns. The fund's return is the market return earned by the patient money that stayed invested. The investor's return is reduced by the decisions made during the periods when the experience of investing felt wrong. The behavior gap is larger than any reasonable fee you'll pay, larger than any reasonable expense ratio difference, larger than almost any investment selection decision you'll make. The single biggest return driver is staying in, not selling when it feels bad, not rebalancing into cash when the news is alarming, not stopping contributions when the market is down. The mechanical decision is which index fund to buy. The financial decision, the one that determines your actual return, is staying in. The third, boring investments systematically beat exciting ones over any meaningful time period. This is the counterintuitive one, and the data is unambiguous. The actively managed funds that charge higher fees and promise market-beating returns underperform their benchmark index on a net fee basis approximately 85% of the time over a 15-year period, according to SPIVA data. The individual stock picks that generated enormous social media excitement in 2020 and 2021, the meme stocks, the EV plays, the speculative tech, dramatically underperformed the boring S&P 500 or total market index over the subsequent 3 years. The thematic ETFs that capture hot trends, AI, cannabis, blockchain, consistently underperform after their initial buzz because by the time they're widely discovered, the trend is already priced in. The boring investment, the total U.S. market index fund, the 3-fund portfolio, the target date fund, is boring because it doesn't offer a story. It doesn't give you a thesis to hold or a trend to follow or a company to believe in. It just gives you the aggregate return of the economy, minus a fee so small it rounds to zero, sustained indefinitely. And that boring investment, held through corrections and headlines and the excitement of each new thing that promises to beat it, systematically outperforms the exciting alternatives over 20 and 30-year periods. Protect your boring investment from the exciting alternatives. The excitement is the signal of a worse risk-adjusted return. The fourth, the mental model shift from saver to owner, is what makes volatility survivable. Most new investors have a mental model built from their savings account experience. Money goes in, money is there. The balance increases predictably. You can take it out at any time. This mental model is accurate for savings accounts and catastrophically wrong for equity investments. When a savings account balance decreases, something went wrong. When an equity portfolio balance decreases, you still own the same number of shares in the same companies. Those companies are just being valued at a temporarily lower price. This is the key distinction. You're not a saver who deposited money and is watching it decrease. You're an owner of businesses, specifically of fractional ownership in thousands of businesses, and the market is temporarily offering to buy your ownership stake at a lower price. The ownership is unchanged. The temporary market price is lower. This shift from I have $18,000 in this account to I own fractional stakes in 3,700 U.S. companies, and the market currently prices those stakes at $18,000 changes how market drops feel. The saver model says the drop is loss. The owner model says the drop is a temporary change in what someone would pay you for your ownership today. If you're not selling, the temporary price is irrelevant to your actual wealth. The fifth, compounding doesn't feel real until it's been running for several years, and you will be tempted to quit before it does. This is the one that explains why most people who start investing don't sustain it long enough to experience the compounding they were promised. In the first year of investing $400 per month at 8% return, you contribute $4,800 and earn approximately $210 in investment return. The investment return is 4.4% of your total, invisible against the background of normal financial life. Year 2, the return is approximately $580 from your total. Still small, still invisible. Year 3, approximately $1,000. Year 5, approximately $2,200. Year 8, approximately $4,600. Year 10, approximately $6,600. The compounding becomes dramatically visible in years 8 through 15. But the investment journey started in year 1. And by year 8, 8 years of contributions and consistency have already been made. The people who quit in year 3, when the investment return is $1,000 per year, quit 3 years before the compounding was actually going to become motivating. The people who sustain through the invisible years arrive at the visible years. The people who don't restart from zero, often multiple times, and never experience the compounding that the math promised them. Here's the math that makes the invisible years worth sustaining. $400 per month at 8% return. Year 1 total portfolio, approximately $5,000. Year 5, $29,500. Year 10, $73,000. Year 15, $138,000. Year 20, $237,000. Year 25, $378,000. The years where the compounding becomes larger than your contributions, where the machine is growing faster than you're adding to it, start around year 14 or 15. The years 1 through 13 are the investment in getting there. The investor who understands all 5 of these things before their first dollar goes in has a different relationship with the investment than the one who discovers them through experience. They're not surprised by the first correction, or they expected it. They're not tempted by the exciting investment. They know the behavioral math. They're not confused by boring, outperforming, exciting. They haven't misidentified themselves as savers watching a balance decrease. And they don't quit during the invisible years because they know the visible years are coming. This understanding, internalized before the first dollar, is the preparation that makes you the investor who actually benefits from the compounding that the mechanical beginner content promises. The knowledge is available to everyone. The understanding, the mental model that makes it behaviorally survivable, is what most content skips. 5 things nobody tells beginners. Your first market drop will feel wrong and isn't. The behavior gap between what funds return and what investors in those funds earn is explained by when they bought and sold. Boring investments beat exciting ones over any period that matters. The mental model shift from saver to owner makes volatility survivable, and compounding takes years to become visible, but the journey starts now. Watch before you put in $1, not because investing is dangerous, it isn't, but because the experience of investing is different from the mechanical description of investing, and understanding the experience in advance is the difference between the investor who compounds for 25 years and the one who quits in year 3 and never knows what they missed. Now you know. Put the dollar in.